Women, this one's for you. Have you been thinking about a third act? Are you thinking maybe what's next? Are you in your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s? What got you where you are won't get you where you need to be or where you want to be. Today's guest is going to talk about that with us. Are you ready for a career pivot? Join us for Strategy Talks.
Let's strategize together. Let's hear it from an expert. Join the conversation, it's informative and free. You and me, let's talk some strategy. Now here's your host, Morin-van.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Strategy Talks. I should say this is a special edition. This is for the women, but if you are a man and you have a woman in your life and she is in her 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, pull her in, right? Pull her in and bring her in or share this with her, because this is going to be all for women who are ready for a third act, who are ready to make a career pivot. So without much further ado, I want to welcome everybody who is here live. Put in where you're watching us from, where you're tuning in from. If you're here because you're listening to Strategy Talks as a podcast, I want to welcome you with a special welcome. But we're ready for our guest. Let's bring in Viveka van Rosen. Hey, Viveka, how are you?
Hello. Yay, I'm so excited to be here.
I am so excited that you're here. We have had to reschedule this once, and I just love this topic. We were just talking in the green room. Yeah. I started my career as 40, which was kind of my second act, right? I had raised a family. I was still raising a family, but at 40, I started my business. And you talked about thinking about doing this, because we're not only talking about rocking a career pivot, we're talking about you making a career pivot. Yeah. So let's start with that, because a lot of people on here on my show are marketers, and they know the Viveka van Rosen. They know you as the LinkedIn expert. You've done a career pivot. Let's talk about it.
A huge career pivot. And it's really funny. It's not funny. When I turned 50, I was feeling a little bit like, okay, there's got to be more to life than this. And when I turned 55 last year, I was like, there definitely has to be more to life than this. And no digs at my last company. It was a great company. It's still a great company. Love the software, but it wasn't a fit for me anymore. And not only that, like the whole LinkedIn expert thing, I spent so much time and wrote so many books and was on so many podcasts and so many stages as the LinkedIn expert. And honestly, back in 2017, I was thinking, I think I want to do something different. And we ended up doing Vengresso instead of me pivoting into what I really consider to be my life's work. So about a little over a year ago now, I started thinking, okay, what's next? And it's interesting because I looked for books, I looked for roadmaps, and there's so many great life coaches out there. There's so many great women's masterminds out there. There's so many great coaches out there. But there wasn't a roadmap for someone like me who'd reached, a kind of the heights of my success in my particular industry, had done everything I wanted to do there. I was somewhat attached to my moniker LinkedIn expert. It's who I had been for so long. Like, where was the roadmap to take me from that to something completely different, completely new? There wasn't one. And so I started putting one together myself, which ended up being, my new book, which released in January, ironically, about the same time I launched my new business. And it's just, I'm so psyched about it. And my clients are so freaking amazing. Like, I love working with my clients. I love their journeys. And it's just been so awesome. And so hard, and so very hard,
right,
because I didn't have the guidance I needed.
Right. So you just held up the book for those who are listening. The book is called 101
101
Ways.
ways to rock change. Now, I wanted it to be 101 ways to rock your pivot, but my co-author was like, well, people get that. So then it's the successful pivot from executive to entrepreneur. So I did get it in there, but yes, it's 101 ways to rock change. And I guess it applies to everyone. It's not just about changing from executive to entrepreneur. It's really any change you do in your business. These are the step-by-steps that you need to take.
Right. So let's talk about that. There's a transformation that happens, right?
Yeah.
Is there a moment that you can pinpoint that happens? You said you had that moment last year. What happened to have you have that moment? And you also mentioned in Green Room, you've had several moments and then just went a different way, right? So you've had this. So what makes somebody be ready to be on that journey with you? Because that's where I want to get to. Who is ready for this journey? I'm sure you've got a avatar or a sort of type of, you mentioned you were kind of at the height of where you wanted to go.
Yeah.
Everybody knows you and still knows you. As a LinkedIn expert, you've done everything that you've wanted to do there. Is that it?
That's it-ish. But people can get there and hang out there for a long, long time because it's yay. People can get there for a long, don't know where that is from. People can get there and hang out there for a long, long time and, maybe move sideways this way and that way, which is exactly what I did, until they can't. I was literally lying in a hospital bed, April of last year, working on like grants. I first of all, not even anything LinkedIn related, right? So it wasn't even my little mini passion. It was just like working on SEO writing and grants. And I was just like, what am I doing? I mean, this is crazy. I was not put on this earth to do this. And it was kind of a cataclysmic event. Some women get cancer. I was talking to a wonderful woman yesterday who started her program when she got breast cancer and realized I can't keep doing what I'm doing. I literally cannot do it. I cannot keep doing what I'm doing physically. For me, it was mentally. I could not keep doing what I was doing. And I knew at that moment I was going to make a change. Now, it didn't happen overnight. There were things, legal things that needed to be resolved and all the things that have to happen. But it was at that moment where I was like, this is nuts. I can't keep doing this.
Now, if you're listening to this, if you're with us live, put in the comments if that has happened to you. I've had some of those moments in my life. Some of them were good, that I was ready for a career pivot. Mine came, and I'm happy to share that. I was 40 and my youngest child started kindergarten. And the first day of kindergarten, you see all these pictures and you hear these moms and, they drop off their child and they're crying. This was my fourth. I skipped out of that school. I was like, I am ready. But then I came home and I had that moment. What am I going to do with myself for 7 hours? Because now I have 4 kids in school. By that time, I had 2 in middle school and 2 in elementary school. What am I going to do? I was still driving carpool. I was still making lunches at home. I was still doing a lot of stuff, but I didn't have a child at home. And that's when, do I want to go work for somebody? I had that moment of, I think I'm going to start a business. And like you, it didn't start right away. I did take a job for about 9 months and realized I don't want to do that.
No.
And then because I didn't want to go to a job and be stuck there. And what if my child's sick? So I knew I needed to work from home. So I love that. And if you're watching, if you're listening, let us know if you've been there. So once you've had that moment, Viveka, and you were talking about a journey, a roadmap, what are some of the things that somebody who's listening, who's watching, need to do to get on that road to that third act?
Yeah, the first part is all mindset. And like my friend Maggie, who got breast cancer, you have to come to the realization that you come first. Now, what's interesting is my definition of success is really seeing the success of my clients. But even that being said, especially during the pivot, you have to come first and you need to find ways to tap into that deeper knowing, intuition, calling, whatever you want to call it, that has been trying to get out since you were literally born. And there are practices, and I take people through meditations and journaling and things like that. A little woo. I bring in the woo. And the other thing, which is really hard for either women who have created their own brand, like I did, or women who have climbed up through the ranks in their company, maybe to CEO, maybe to C-suite. They've broken through so many glass ceilings. They've worked so freaking hard. And now they're like, and I'm supposed to let that go to start some business that I don't even know will be successful, maybe in a completely different arena. Like, what are you saying? But the fact is, and I hate that this is true, but it is, when we're in our 50s, 60s, and 70s and 80s, we start to become more invisible. It's just what happens in this very youth-focused world. People stop listening to us as much. Our ideas start becoming that young dude over there's idea. And it's just ick, right? It's just
right,
ick.
right. But I
Right?
want to point something out. If you're listening to this, if you're a woman and you're not 50 yet, maybe when you turned 40, you had this, I don't really care that much anymore about what other people think. When you hit 50, you really don't care that much anymore about what people think. So this is a great time to do that. Before, you might have been influenced by your friends or colleagues or a spouse, a partner, or even young children. But when you get to 50, you realize there's only so much left, and you got to live it. And so this is a great time. When I heard what you were doing, I was like, yes, I can feel it. I can see it. Like, I've had my business for 13 years. I'm in a way even pivoting myself in the last couple of years. Once I was in my 50s, I've had different years and different growth and scaling. And that's all because I don't care anymore what other people think. I'm just doing it. So I just wanted to point that out. There's something that holds you back, right? Because that's that ageism. Is that what we call it?
Yeah,
right?
It's ageism. It's full on ageism. Yeah.
But then we also have
we also don't care.
We also don't care. So if that's you, give us a thumbs up, because I really feel that way. So meditation,
journaling. I mean, you really do, as I mentioned, you really do have to go inside, and you really have to make that decision to let go. Like, it was so monumental for me when I literally changed my LinkedIn profile from linkedin.com/in/LinkedIn expert to linkedin.com/in/Viveka von Rosen. I mean, that was huge for me. And I still have people to this day going, what were you thinking? Why didn't you sell it? And I'm just like, I was just ready to let it go. And I needed to do it in a way that was complete. Interestingly enough, I love what you just said about not giving what other people think. I had a conversation with a very dear friend of mine this morning, and she's seen some of the struggles that I've been going through. And she's like, well, why don't you just do LinkedIn stuff for a while until you can, this new business really takes off, into 6 figures. And I'm like, I can't. Number one, I contractually can't, but I just can't. I cannot go back in energetically to who I was, because that would halt any momentum I had. And yes, things are a little difficult now, maybe, and they are for my clients. And I mean, my clients, a lot of them are walking away from big money. But as you were saying, as our time gets shorter, we realize it's money's not the thing. It's our quality of life. And if we're not doing something we absolutely love, then we are wasting our most precious commodity. And you know what? If you love, like one of my not clients said, I want to go play pickleball more. I want to travel the world. Like, she's selling her business. I don't want to start something new. And I'm like, good. That's clarity. That's what you need. Go play pickleball, go travel the world. Call me in 2 or 3 months when you're bored to tears. But
I agree with you. Yeah.
It's not everyone's path to go be an entrepreneur and start the business of their dreams. And if you're not feeling it, don't do it. But me, my clients, you, Doreen, like, we feel that impetus to move into something that's more aligned to who we really are. And the biggest frustration, I think, for my corporate clients who are moving out is like, okay, I've had all of this support. And I did too, right? We had a marketing team, we had a sales team, we had a customer success team, we had a financial team. We had, I had all these teams, and I could do, I could focus on my LinkedIn training until I couldn't. And so I get it. Okay, I've got to create my own team. I got to go find that support, because the other thing that we all do when we start a new business, even if we have the funds to start the new business, is we all try to do everything ourselves. And I used to say, do what you do best, let other people do the rest. And now I say, do what only you can do and let other people do the rest. Like at this point, you could do things great, but there are other people who can do it great too.
Right.
Do what only you can do, and then find other people to do the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great point. So when somebody starts their new business at a mature age, right?
Yes.
What other issues, and specifically women, can women run into? I have a good friend who is somewhere around our age, maybe a little bit younger, who's been trying to get funding, and she can't find anybody to invest in her funding because she's female. And the statistics I've seen, especially in tech companies, is that venture capitalists, they do not back women.
They don't.
So what else is there? So who do we go to? You were saying support. That's where I want to go to.
Yeah. Where do you get this money to do support?
Right. Right. So you have a coach, but you also need money. You need resources.
Exactly.
From experience, I know being in a mastermind can be super powerful. That's been my secret weapon growing my business. I've been in several, and the one I'm currently in is just helping me scale. The other one I was in when I was much younger helped open my eyes to especially pricing and to getting outside of my own head and outside of my local area, just going out into the world. So what other things do you offer? What do you see that's helpful for somebody who's ready or thinking about a pivot as far as support? Where should they go?
And it's funny because we went the VC route with Vengresso, and so there are people who will talk to you because you are a minority, but most of the VC money goes to younger white guys. It just does. There are a lot of grants out there if you want to go that route. I hire a grant writer if you want to go that route, because it is tough. But there are so many female-owned, female-backed corporations now that have grants for women who are starting businesses. Really depends on the industry that you're focused on. Most of my folks, not because I put it out there, not because I really have any languaging around it, but most of my women want to be coaches in their own area of expertise. They all either have written or are writing books, and they all want to be on stage. Well, okay, that's pushing it. They all know they need to be on stage. They might not want to, but they all know they need to be on stage. So there are amazing coaches out there for those of you who want to start a software company, for those of you who want to do a marketing company, whatever it is that you feel in your heart that you really, really want to do. There you will find your community. And I love what you said about mastermind. What I found was when I invested in myself a year ago, right? When I made the decision, actually now it was 15 months ago, that I wanted to pivot. The first thing I did was plunk down a big piece of change, like a lot of money for me, into this mastermind. And I felt it was too early, and maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But I did it anyway. And I realized, how can I expect people to invest in me at my new pricing if I'm not willing to invest in in myself, right? And so that was on many levels something I needed to do both energetically, and I learned a whole lot, right? Especially when it came to things like pricing and things like I know marketing and sales pretty well down pretty well, but there were some branding things too that I hadn't really considered, and so that was extremely useful, and I definitely recommend go out and get yourself a mastermind. I don't have one yet that I'm offering my clients, but I will, because my pricing's not cheap. It's a little bit of a chunk of change to even start with me. And it's a bigger chunk of change if you want to get a 6 months or a year's worth of coaching out of me, but you're also getting me.
Right.
There's a lot of programs out there which are phenomenal, and it's really the only way to scale. There are a lot of great programs out there where you're getting a team, you're getting a lot of online training, but you're getting mastermind groups. But for me, what my clients find most useful is actually me and getting my expertise and getting my years of experience. So having someone to hold your hand and help you find the team you need and help you find the resources you need, it doesn't have to be me. I mean,
Right.
please, I'd love
But
it.
what you're saying, what I hear you say is that
Yeah.
accountability partner, right? A
Yes.
lot
Yeah.
of us, I mean, humans by nature, we are pack animals, to
Yes.
say, to use
Yep.
that words. We want to be with other humans.
Yeah.
And we usually have that in a family unit. I
Yes.
know there's people watching, women that are single, but
Right.
they might have parents, they might have
Yeah.
siblings, they might have nieces and nephews if they don't have children of their own. So
Yeah.
we have this family, whether it's a chosen family or a
Yeah.
born into family that we
Yeah.
belong to. But
Yeah.
in business, when we start in our 50s, 60s, 70s, or 80s, we
Yeah.
have to create and choose that family, because you can't
Absolutely.
really do that without that support. And if you're
No.
watching and if you've been in the corporate world, you already know that was your chosen family in your corporate
Yeah.
world. But you also know that if you hit a tree and you died one day, within 3 days, your corporate job would be up on the job site and somebody would fill that job with
That's right.
somebody else to take your spot. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit different in the entrepreneurial space.
It is.
It is just different. So
It is.
find that tribe and
Yes.
find these other, especially women,
Yeah.
to uplift you, to collaborate with, and to, work with. So career pivot. Are there things that women should not do when they're talking about career pivot? Because, we're giving great advice on what they should be doing. But
Right.
are there
Right.
some things that you've seen that, like, oh, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't go do this. Don't go headfirst into this, or don't give somebody, $100,000, or don't buy a business.
No.
What are some things that we shouldn't do?
Yeah, don't spend a lot of money before you have somewhat an idea of what you're going to move forward, and do your research. Several of my clients have plunked down so much money on a website that they needed to completely redo because there was like, and I understand I could have played it safe. I could have gone back into LinkedIn training, and actually a couple of my clients came to me that way. I could have gone back into LinkedIn coaching, one-on-one coaching, and then moved my clients into my new reality. And I could have made it clearer that I was doing that. I could have kept my LinkedIn expert handle, et cetera, et cetera. So some women are playing it safe, which I totally understand. And they spend all this money trying to create a business playing it safe, and then they realize it's still not serving them. So before you make the leap, just get all the information, do the internal work. There's even though it looks like I was working at Vangresso, and then 1 month later I had launched my new business, there was that liminal space. That's something I talk about a lot. And it's super uncomfortable. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not like, oh, great, I'm in the formless space of not knowing anything. Awesome. Right. It's like, we like our boundaries. We like our foundations. We like our structure.
Yes.
But it is in that liminal space where who you really were meant to be is starting to formulate and find itself and find yourself. So don't leap into something because it's safe. because that's, I mean, I did that in 2001. I did that in 2007. I did that in 2017. Like, don't be me. Be me now. Don't be me back then. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I was tempted to do this too. So that sounds contradictory, like leave everything behind, but don't leave everything behind. And what I mean by that is I have talked to so many people who have like, I'm done. I'm shutting down my LinkedIn account. I'm deleting all my connections. I'm out of here. Like, I did kind of make a move like that by changing my URL, but I kept my network. Now, am I deleting people who are no longer potential clients or vendors or strategic partners? Yes, goodbye. Not all men are going. I'm just saying, not all men are going, but yeah, there's a lot of like younger sales dudes that I trained. Love you, bless you, bye-bye. You know, there's not a place for them in my network. Yeah, there really isn't. I mean, maybe they have wives, but they're young. Like,
maybe they have mothers.
maybe
Don't
they have
discount
mothers.
them. Maybe they have mothers.
But that's a stretch because let's
Yeah.
face it, they're not thinking about their mothers that much.
No.
You know,
No, they're not.
So there's a, you know, there's that liminal space again where it's like, what do I let go of? What do I keep? So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't like completely burn away everything and everyone. And there are things like my new symbol is the Phoenix. My new logo is the Phoenix, because you are going to have to burn some stuff away, and you're going to have to burn some of yourself away as well. Another thing, like you said, it is so important to have that community, to have, even if it's a friend who fully supports you in this venture. I wouldn't, probably outside of your family unit, like not a child, not a spouse, but if you've got a friend who fully supports you, who you can call when things get tough, because they will. It's not an easy journey, but it's super, super exciting. And please enter into it with the right mindset. For me, I have got a non-negotiable morning, system where I am meditating, I am journaling, I'm getting a little movement in. I am getting, I'm making sure that I'm eating right, that I'm fueling my body, that I'm drinking lots of water. So before you even make the business shift, and you can 100% do this if you're still in your corporate position, like start making your body healthy. And a lot of executives know, because you're working so hard. And to your point, if you died tomorrow, people would be sad and your position would be filled. Like, right. You're not that important.
Right. Well, I mean, it's, this is a meme that's going around on LinkedIn, right? Oh, all these people that say, oh, join our company, you'll be treated like family. I'm like, no, you're not. You are replaceable unless they are our family. That is not what happens. And exactly. It's a hard thing to understand, I think, when you're younger. So if there are younger women and men watching this or sharing this or somehow see this conversation, you are replaceable. And so if you keep, especially as women, if you keep getting passed over for, a raise, or you see the men making a lot more money, this is your time to pivot as well. Look at a freelance opportunity, look at consulting, look at the next, go work for a female CEO for a company that does recognize that men and women are equal and can pay you equal. So don't stay. What I'm saying is never at any time in your life, don't stay where you're not appreciated. And I think, when you get older, you have that wisdom. The other thing I wanted to talk just briefly, we have just like a minute, is the different seasons of our life. This in our 50s and 60s, a lot of us who did have children now have adult children. So we've shifted from parenting to grandparenting. I know you have grandkids too. And so I think that is a different time of your life. You have a different mindset altogether. Anyway, you have more patience. You see what it's worth a lot more. I think in our 20s and 30s, we're so busy living that you forget to actually step back and enjoy the journey. And I think when you're in your 50s and you start a business, or 60s, I think you're going to enjoy all of it. And I just kind of wanted to put that out there. Any other wisdom? We've got like a minute left, Viveka. I love this conversation. I'm so excited you were here with us today. Anything else you want to give somebody as a take home? Yeah,
I think it just comes back to and to your point, under 50, we're serving other people. We're serving our companies. We're serving our husbands, our wives. We're serving our kids. We're serving our parents as we take them back into our homes. Then they're done that. And we're serving. And being a servant leader is great. Awesome. Do it. This is your time right now. This is your time right now for your words to make a difference. Like, again, women's words will change the world. Women's words are changing the world. And if you're a woman listening to this, your words are important, and it's time for you to speak them out loud.
Wow. All right. Viveka, where can people connect with you? Is LinkedIn still the best place?
Yes, LinkedIn is still the best place. Also, if you go to Beyond the Dream Board, because we didn't even talk about the name of my company, life happens beyond all those things that you acquired, right? So life happens beyond the dream board. Beyondthedreamboard.com. If you go to beyondthedreamboard.com/welcome, I have a ton of free resources there. Plus, if you want to book some time with me, just click on the little button at the bottom right there and you can get on my calendar.
Okay. And I'll make sure that link is in the show notes if you're listening to a podcast, so you can find it, and I'll add it in the comments right underneath here. So Viveka, thank you so much for joining us today. This was so fun. I love these special episodes I have for a special audience. And this was wonderful. I really appreciate you coming on. And I've got to get my hands on that book. I don't have that book yet.
I'll get it to you.
Yes, that sounds awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And I'll be back next week with another episode of Strategy Talks. Bye, everybody.
Awesome. Bye, everyone.